Although there's competitors now ramping up, and
Yeah.
as you're familiar with BYD, which is also on the West Coast, I think they're ramping up production of their electric vehicles. Warren Buffett owns 10% stake in that. Why do you laugh? BYD is trying to compete. Why do you laugh?
Have you seen their car?
I have seen their cars, yes. In fact, at the Berkshire Hathaway meeting, I saw their cars.
Yeah.
Well, they are on a different, tell me why you're laughing.
Apple has been suggested by some analysts who are pretty smart that they should get into the electric vehicle business and maybe do so by buying Tesla.
I think it would be a very poor idea to get into the auto business. It's not an easy business. I can't take them on. I don't think Elon can take them on. You know, they have moats.
My thoughts are two. I would never buy it, and I would never sell short. Never underestimate the man who overestimates himself. I think Elon Musk is peculiar, and he may overestimate himself, but he may not be wrong all the time. People like that get some remarkable results, and sometimes they get some quick failure. And I haven't the faintest idea how Elon Musk is going to turn out, but I think he's got a considerable chance of success and a considerable chance of failure. He seems to like it that way.
Charlie,
Yeah.
one of my favorite lines from you is you want to hire the guy with the IQ of 130 that thinks it's 120, and the guy with an IQ of 150 who thinks it's 170 will just kill you.
You must be thinking about Elon Musk.
You're taking me literally and stepping away from the real story here, which is kind of this war of words between you and Charlie and Elon. And I just want, do you even know Elon Musk?
I've never said anything negative about Elon. I mean, you're baiting me a little bit to do it. But,
I am.
But
Tesla and Elon Musk seem like they are in the news on a daily basis. Even Buffett himself couldn't seem to avoid questions about Tesla and Musk, even though he isn't an investor. So, let's hear Buffett's thoughts on Tesla.
Apple has been suggested by some analysts who are pretty smart that they should get into the electric vehicle business and maybe do so by buying Tesla. You and Charlie Munger, your vice chair, did this years ago with BYD, buying electric vehicle and electric battery company. Would you suggest that Apple get into, or would you support it if they bought Tesla?
I would support what Tim Cook does, but I think it would be a very poor idea to get into the auto business. It's not an easy business. And incidentally, the auto business is different than some. If you're a premier with Google on search, or you're a premier, with movies on Netflix, or whatever it be, there's a huge first mover and size and and network effect and all that working for you. You can win in autos one year and you lose the next. I mean, you've got a dozen big companies out there with resources. They're going to keep coming. They copy what you do. People move from one year to another. You don't worry about the fact that your whole life is on the iPhone, as opposed to, you don't want your whole life to be in one car or something. It does not give you a permanent advantage.
The always colorful Elon Musk, the CEO, got into a little trouble recently. If one of your CEOs did an Elon Musk type of tweet, I'm going private. Of course, they wouldn't go private, but they revealed something they shouldn't have. How would you have handled that?
Well, I think what you do, if you misspeak, and I can do it with you or somebody. I mean, if you misspeak, you correct it immediately. And if you've got a stock that's trading like crazy, you come on 3 minutes later and don't say, I misspoke when I said lending secured. I meant to say, I really think I can get funding. I mean, or something of the sort.
Bitcoin. You and Charlie have told Fox Business and made news calling it rat poison squared. Has anything changed to make you take a second look?
It will come to a bad ending.
Still. Well, you're not coming to a bad ending,
I hope
certainly. You're 88 years old. We just got word from Berkshire that you're not going to be hosting the MBA programs anymore. We had been able to see what we call Buffett University, where you talked to the students and took pictures with them. I mean, you were dancing with some of them. You're doing wrestling poses and Charlie's Angels. Are you feeling okay? Everything?
I feel great, and my doctor said I'm in way better shape, even though I was a few years ago. I tap dance to work still, but the only drawback. And I did the students for 60-some years in different forms, and I loved it last year. But it does require committing yourself 6 or 7 or 8 months in the future. I never would want to not show up or something of the sort. So I decided to pack it in on that.
My dad used to say at 88 to his patients, the mind gets soft, but the arteries get hard. So it kind of balances itself
But
out.
whatever it is, it's good. And 8 is lucky in China. So I got 2 8s going for me in a year that ends in an 8. So I feel great. If you look at the leading candy bars, for example, for the last 50 years, I think you'll find Snickers on top, and then you got M&Ms. You got 2 types, so they don't combine the peanuts with the other ones. But I think they're number 2 and 4, and Hershey's in there number 3 or something of the sort. Yeah, I can't take them on. I don't think Elon can take them on. They have moats. When you go into a drugstore, 7-Eleven or something, and you say, I would like a Snickers bar, and the owner says, oh, I've got something, the Musk bar, at 10 cents off the Snickers bar, you say, give me the Snickers. And if he doesn't give you the Snickers, you go across the street and buy the Snickers. The brands are moats, I mean, obviously. And if you try to, this product is selling, to hundreds of millions of people who want Coca-Cola. If you say, I'll sell you something for 2 cents less, or I've got some celebrity's name on it. They actually, Richard Branson tried Virgin Cola in the United States about 15 or 20 years ago. And a million others have been tried. So I don't really have the same urge to produce automobiles that he apparently has to produce candy. But I don't suggest that he take on Snickers.
You're taking me literally and stepping away from the real story here, which is kind of this war of words between you and Charlie and Elon. And I just want, do you even know Elon Musk?
I've never said anything negative about Elon. I mean, you're baiting me a little bit to do it. But,
I am.
But I've never, people like his car and everything. But somebody mentioned that now he's talking about financing. Something this morning about that. I thought I heard that earlier.
Yes, well, actually, Andrew just read some headlines where it looked like Tesla may be going back to market to pick up some additional financing. I'm not entirely sure.
Well,
all I heard was the headline.
That's what I call a counter-revelation. I mean, Charlie, because I think it was just a few days ago they said they wouldn't need financing. But he's trying something to improve a product, and I salute him for that. And the American public will decide whether it's a success, and it's not easy. It's probably easier to develop a new car than to compete with Snickers. But some products have terrific moats. Probably Elmer's glue does. WD-40. I mean, there's just certain things that you are not much inclined to be dissatisfied with and see. And I would say that, incidentally, that the iPhone. Has a terrific moat. I mean, people that have an iPhone, or maybe have some other phone, but they want to continue with the product that they've got. They want the new version. It's just easier for them. They've learned how to do everything, and their life's built around it and all of that. And moats are very useful. Costco has a moat in people's mind. I mean, Amazon can raise the price of Prime, 20%, and you can't do that unless you've built something within that image of the Amazon Prime that's based on reality, that you're going to get a lot for your money and you're going to want to use it, and then you can raise prices $20. But if you're selling, some commodity product, you can't do that. You need a moat.
This question comes from Keeley and actually is directly about the issue of moats. He notes that Elon Musk this week on his Tesla earnings call said the following, quote, I think moats are lame. They are like nice in a sort of quaint vestigial way, and if your only defense against invading armies is a moat, you will not last long. What matters is the pace of innovation. That is the fundamental determinant of competitiveness, unquote. So Warren, it seems the world has changed. Business is getting more competitive, pace of innovation, technology is impacting everything. Is Elon right?
Let me answer that one, Warren. Elon says a conventional moat is quaint, and that's true of a puddle of water. And he says that the best moat would be to have a big competitive position, and that is also right. It's ridiculous. Warren does not intend to build an actual moat. Even though they're quaint.
Yeah. There's certainly a great number of businesses. This has always been true, but it does seem like it. The pace has accelerated and so on in recent years. There's been more moats that have become susceptible to invasion than seemed to be the case earlier. But there's always been the attempt to do it. And here and there are probably places where the moat is as strong as ever. But certainly you can work at, certainly should be working at improving your own moat and defending your own moat all the time. And Elon may turn things upside down in some areas. I don't think he'd want to take us on in candy, but and we've got some other businesses that wouldn't be so easy to you can look at something like Granimals out there in the other room, and it won't be technology that takes away the business and Granimals. It may be something else that catches the young kid's fantasy or something, but there are some pretty good moats around. Being the low-cost producer, for example, is a terribly important moat. And something like GEICO, technology has really not brought down the cost that much. And I think our position as there are a couple of companies that have costs as low as ours, but among big companies, we are a low-cost producer, and that is not bad when you're selling an essential item.
Elon Musk says that Tesla will start to offer insurance for its cars and can price it better than a typical insurance company because of the data it collects from all the vehicles on the road. You've talked about the threat of autonomous vehicles on the insurance business, but what about the threat to GEICO of automobile companies themselves getting into the insurance business? And on a very similar topic, Tesla recently announced that they're shifting to an online-only sales model, and several traditional auto dealerships are also reducing their property holdings as car buyers increasingly use smartphones and the internet to shop for cars. What does this portend for Berkshire Hathaway Automotive?
Yeah. Actually, General Motors had a company for a long time called Motors Insurance Company, and various companies have tried it. I would say that the success of the insurance company, of the auto companies getting into the insurance business, are probably about as likely as the success of the insurance companies getting into the auto business. I worry much more about Progressive than all of the auto company possibilities that I could see in terms of getting an insurance business. It's not an easy business at all, and I would bet against any company in the auto business being any kind of an unusual success. The idea of using telematics in terms of studying people's driver's habits, that's spreading quite widely, and it is important to have data on how people drive, how hard they brake, how much they swerve, all kinds of things. So I don't doubt the value of the data, but I don't think that the auto companies will have any advantage to that. I don't think they'll make money in the insurance business. Using the internet to shop for cars is like using the internet for shopping for everything. It's another competitor, and there's no question that people will look for better ways. Now, the gross margin on new cars is about 6% or thereabouts. So there's not lots of room in the game, but that will be a method, and that will sell some cars. And if there are, it's another competitor. But I don't think it destroys the auto dealer who takes good care of the customers and is there to service the customers. And it's not an overwhelming threat, but it's obviously something that's going to be around, and we'll sell some cars. Charlie?
Again, nothing.
Okay.
Speaking of electric vehicles, what do you think about Tesla? Is that company going to become a major player?
Well, it's already created more significance than anybody would have predicted. And its founder is bold and brilliant and swings for the fences. And of course, people like that get some remarkable results, and sometimes they get some quick failure. And I haven't the faintest idea how Elon Musk is going to turn out, but I think he's got a considerable chance of success and a considerable chance of failure. He seems to like it that way.
Have you considered overnight Elon Musk getting into the candy business, as he suggested he might do on Twitter?
I didn't hear that. It sounds like wiseassery. I can't criticize anybody else for wiseassery.
Charlie?
Yeah.
One of my favorite lines from you is you want to hire the guy with the IQ of 130 that thinks it's 120, and the guy with an IQ of 150 who thinks it's 170 will just kill you.
You must be thinking about Elon Musk.
I want to ask you about Tesla. The company has a market capitalization of about $140 billion. It traded last week about $200 billion in stock and traded about $500 billion in options. And the stock moved about 20% a day. Meanwhile, Mr. Musk seems thrilled to stoke this volatility. I wanted to know what your thoughts are on this situation, and particularly what your thoughts are on Mr. Musk's behavior.
My thoughts are two. I would never buy it, and I would never sell short. I have a third comment. There was a man found in Los Angeles for years named Howard Amundsen. He once said something that I've taken to my heart. He said, "Never underestimate the man who overestimates himself." I think Elon Musk is peculiar, and he may overestimate himself, but he may not be wrong all the time.
Although there's competitors now ramping up, and
Yeah.
as you're familiar with BYD, which is also on the West Coast, I think they're ramping up production of their electric vehicles. Warren Buffett owns 10% stake in that. Why do you laugh? BYD is trying to compete. Why do you laugh?
Have you seen their car?
I have seen their cars, yes. In fact, at the Berkshire Hathaway meeting, I saw their cars.
Yeah.
Well, they are on a different, tell me why you're laughing. You don't see them at all as a competitor?
No.
Why is that? I mean, they offer a lower price point.
I don't think they have a great product.
Why is that?
I don't think it's particularly attractive. The technology is not very strong. And BYD as a company has pretty severe problems in their home turf in China.
Right.
So I think their focus is, and rightly should be, on making sure they don't die in China.
Okay. What about for you? When are you going to turn a profit on Tesla?
Well, we think probably 2013.
2013. Okay. Gathered ourselves, talked more a bit in the break about BYD, and you make a good point though, and I want you to say this, about BYD. What you're saying is that, even though the cars are going to be priced lower than yours, and they are, they have said that they are a competitor to you.
Yeah.
That what you're saying is that, even if that's the case, that their cars are actually quite expensive for what you're getting. So why do you say that?
Yeah, something that surprised me was that when we priced the components, the various elements of the supply chain of the Model S, we found that China was uncompetitive. This is really surprising. I mean, I thought that we'd be sourcing a lot of components from China.
Right.
Almost none of the components in the Model S are sourced from China. In fact, we find California manufactured articles to be more cost-effective than China.
Why is this?
I don't know. It was a shock to me too.
Okay.
Yeah.
Because you would think that with cheap labor in China,
yeah,
that those parts would be cheaper. Okay, so you have no
yeah,
plans then to source in China in the future.
We're actually agnostic with respect to sourcing components. So we're happy to source components from the United States, Canada, Germany, Japan, and we do source a lot of components in Mexico. We source a lot of components from those countries.
Right.
But surprisingly, almost nothing
How
from
much
China.
cheaper?
The Chinese components, remarkably, were more expensive.
But how much? How much more expensive?
On the order of 10% to 20%, something like that.
Okay.
Yeah.
And that's a huge difference.
Yeah. Now maybe due to logistics.
Right.
You got to ship the stuff. It's a lot easier to ship a little iPhone than it is to ship some big heavy component. That may be a factor.
Okay.